Yeah, you knew there was gonna be a video for this. Absolutely, you knew when Pack Watch was in full effect. Smoking that Eustace Kid pack? Absolutely, bro. We support cigarette smoking today because undeniably the heat that was Shanks versus Kid. Bro, it was what we thought it was. Straight up flames. What an amazing episode that graced our screens of One Piece this weekend. I tweet about it a lot on my Twitter. My reaction is first on my Patreon, unedited, all that good stuff. And it's now currently on the Cole Plus YouTube channel for Catch the Watch. All links in the box below. But personally, I would say that this episode of One Piece is the second best episode of One Piece all time. All time. Behind episode 1015. So it's better than Sanji Piece 1061. It's better than Zoro Piece 1062. It's better than 1033. It's better than even the Monkey D. Luffy madness of 1071 and 1072. It's better than 1074. It's better than 1100, where you have Rob Bababuchi versus Luffy. It's yes. I'll put it that high up on the pecking order of One Piece episodes. And the reasons why, I'm gonna get to soon enough. But I need to give credit where credit is due.
Damn right.
Cinema. This episode is pure, unadulterated cinema. And it's cinema for more reasons than you would think it would be, honestly. Because the corresponding chapter to this episode, chapter 1079, is also a chapter that I gave a flat out 10 out of 10 rating. As of late, it was that chapter, and then a few years ago, it was chapter 1045, when Luffy showcased what he can do in Gear 5 in earnest. And this episode, I'm giving a 10 out of 10 in the same ballpark as 1015. So, let's get to the credits. Screenplay head is Ryo Yamazaki. Art by Natsuki Takeda and Nagisha Nishida. Direction head is Wataru Matsumi. And there are many lead animators for this episode of One Piece. 4 total with 2 young Sei, Ziwihei, Masayuki Sato, and Akihiro Ota, the assistant. Other animators that were a part in the creation of this episode are Wang Runzi, Tsukimi, Ji Guang Liu, Jackie Jin, Yuki Sato, Medi Aoi Choi. Listen, I'm wrong on that one. I know I'm wrong on that one. I tried, I made the attempt, it's tough. So help me out with that one in the comment section down below. Please do. After that though, we have Takaaki Sonoda, Yoshikazu Tomita, Vincent Chansard. Well done. Chansard is the one, as far as I understand, that did the Dorian Brokey, Hakoku, Ikoku Sovereignty, the whales. The whales underneath the ocean as the wave goes towards Kid's ship. Crazy. And the impact frames, delicious. More animators to wrap this up is Masaya Hasegawa, CD1, Wang Xuan, and much love to everybody else that was a part in the creation of this episode of One Piece, because it was unbelievable. It was outstanding. Again, I'm gonna say, this may be, oh my God, overblowing it, Shanks fanboy, which is true. I'm gonna deny that. Shanks is, at this point in time, my 3rd favorite character in the entire story of One Piece. And truth be told, yes, other episodes absolutely do make an outstanding claim to be like among the top 5 all time, let's say in the past 5 years or so. So Wano Country and again Island, when it comes to, strictly speaking, animation, art design, screenplay, pace, and these sort of things here. I mean, there's been so many amazing episodes across the board. And this episode, I think, in those categories, is up there for damn sure. it's in the 9.5s guaranteed on those fronts and those fronts alone. So let's get into some of the epic stuff. And there are some changes that are done compared to the manga version, which I think are somewhat important here. And one thing you do kind of recognize is that in a lot of these episodes that are very, very damn good, the entire episode is well orchestrated and well animated. So the first thing we see at the very beginning of the episode is what? Kid, blue sky, walking through the ship, no one's on his ship, and then he jumps over to the head of the ship and then he's just staring off in the distance. That is essentially a somewhat Jujutsu Kaisen play where something's already happened, cutting to like the finale off the gate, and then we double back to what happened. This is something that we saw in episode 1066, the episode where Kid starts off setting up the damn punk to fire up against Big Mom, and that was directed by Henry Thurlow. So we see later on, after Kid sees Shanks and his eyes start to fade, and then it cuts that same blue scene where we see the blue scene in front of him, and then it's Kid staring out, and then Killer comes next to him. So in terms of direction, it's a very interesting start off the rip, where you see Kid by himself on the ship, like what's going on here, and then you find out, okay, no, that's Kid basically seeing potentially the last vision he's ever seen. He's seeing his hopes and his dreams out there in the distance, and he's so close to them. Killer, why are you laughing? Then he turns around, and Killer is looking like he's some sort of revenant, some sort of ghoul, bleeding out. There's fire behind him. Kid. So in terms of direction, I thought it was very good because it does give Kid more character substance. Kind of, let's say, similar to what you saw with Kaido in episode 1033 of One Piece, where Kaido, for a period of time, hallucinates fighting against Luffy. Luffy's already punted off the island, but Kaido is still fighting him in his mind. Dreams are a very important theme that we see repeating in One Piece, and Kid is someone that's very, very close to achieving the Dream Being Pirate King, closer than most pirates out there in the world.
Yeah. 捨てられねえのさ。それが厄介。
So again, I do like that a lot. And even, let's say, scenes outside of Kid versus Shanks, we have the York stuff, where York has some good scenes with the Seraphim and how she plotted what she plotted on Nugget Island. And York and the Seraphim, York particularly, Jackie Jin and Yuki Sato, spot on. York was flames, all right? Some folks would say she was the hidden MVP of the episode. I ain't gonna lie to you, York has a lot of power, and in many ways and in many curves, and I can appreciate it for damn sure. And then, of course, the Blackbeard pirates arriving on Agate Island. That is a major turn of events in an already tumultuous island that is seeing so much chaos and havoc, while we have a massive Buster Call inbound. So the York material and then the BB crew pulling up in of itself makes for very good substance, particularly Blackbeard, because him and his crew are vying for endgame players of the story. Now, when we jump over to Kid vs. Shanks, there are so many scenes that look very, very good in terms of the color palettes, in terms of the tone. Baseline is pretty high. Like, a lot of the scenes are animated very well. You get to see Shanks with, let's say, what you call his Grand Fleet, where he's showing them how much they care for him and how much he cares for them, where they want to fight for his sake, but he knows that they're weak, and then he forces them back. So we get a lot of good bits here for Shanks' character, how his crew operates, how people across the world view his auxiliary forces, which are also good bits for world building too. Keep in mind that he is an emperor of the sea in the same vein as Kaido, Big Mom, Whitebeard, and so on and so forth, and these are folks that command so much authority in the new world and so much respect and fear across the entire planet at large. And finding out that his armada is known for being weak, this then, I'd argue, only elevates the standing of the core crew. Arguably the reason why in the Ultimate Chapter 957, it was Ben Beckman, it was Yasopp and Lucky Roo that were mentioned by name when they were going over the Emperor's bounties, but no other commanders of any other Emperor crew were mentioned. And arguably backed up by Lucky Roo having the confidence to take down Kid again without Shanks being present, which harkens back to what Law said in Punk Hazard about how it's very rare for folks to get a glimpse of the Emperor because of their forces. World building material that is damn good. With Shanks around, they're confident, they're smiling, having a good time, and you can kind of see something similar with Kid's crew too, where Kid, He's also rallying his people, rallying his crew. They're confident. They just quote unquote beat Big Mom and Kaido. So they're going into this thing, okay, we have another Yonko down the hatch incoming in Shanks. But then we have Akihiro Ota pop off. I mean, just go nuts with Kid and Shanks and the Future Sight. Keep in mind this fact that over the course of the story, the vast majority of characters get better, stronger over time. This is something that Shanks himself says, particularly about the Young Bucks in this very episode. So this version of Kid is stronger now than he was back in Wano Country. And we kind of see that when he does the Dan Punk off the gate. Even though it was in the future that never happened, the fact he could annihilate so many ships in a single instance from that distance, and the way it's done, Kid looks very impressive. I think it's undeniable. If that was a Buster Call, Kid would just annihilate the entire Buster Call in a single volley of Dan Punk. A regular Buster Call, absolutely. So I would say that Akihiro Ota did a pretty good job in displaying Kid's power and showing you how much better he's gone from Wano Country to now. But what we see is Shanks see the future. And keep in mind that Shanks is seeing the future from a great distance away. And he's seeing the full 10-second window before Kid even fires off the attack. So for 10 seconds plus, actually, he's able to see the entire span of what Kid is going to do. And then he has to cover this great distance for miles to get to Kid to prevent him from actually doing what he does. That in of itself is a testament to how great of a fighter Shanks is and how sophisticated his hockey prowess is. He's displaying, I would argue, better observation hockey than even Katakuri, the man that could continuously spam Future Sight, the very same ability that Kaido needed to be drunk in order to utilize in his thieving drunk dragon form. That very same Katakuri, who at this point in time has been the best in my book for this ability, is no longer that because Shanks did what he did in this episode. He has to cover miles to get to where Kid is because their ship is docked at shore. And that whole process that we see animated by Too Young Say for the most part, I think touched up by Ziwei He. When you see Shanks make this run towards Kid, it's phenomenal. Though in the manga version, we don't know what's happening to Shanks in chapter 1079. In the manga version, Shanks is kind of already there. It's almost like he just kind of teleported to get to that spot. But in the anime version, what they add is the aura of Shanks inbound in Kid's way. So you see that gigantic griffin. This was unbelievable because it's harkening back to One Piece Film Red. In One Piece Film Red, the final attack on that gigantic demon top Musica is a combo move from Luffy and Shanks, where Luffy goes into the first anime scene of Gear 5, and then Shanks matches that with some blue hawk aura thing. So you have the gigantic blue hawk, and then you have this red line of Luffy, and then they combine to form a lion-headed griffin. Well, Shanks here just does the eagle version of that by himself as he's inbound towards Kid. And it's really fitting for Too Young Say to be the one to make the Susanoo Hockey Griffin of Shanks, because he's also one that animated the combo move in Film Red by Luffy and Shanks to beat Top Musica. He also makes the Griffin in that movie too. Folks can complain that, okay, it kind of mitigates the supposed speed of Shanks in the manga version, because in the manga version, again, we don't see what happens. He's just kind of there. But in the flip side, the intensity in the aura and the hockey is way more, it's amplified compared to the manga version. So it's kind of similar, let's say what happened with Kaido and Luffy when he one-shot him for the first time in Wano Country. In the manga version of that one-shot, there is no King Kong gun versus the Thunder Bagua. It's just, he does the Kong organ, Luffy's kind of shocked that Kaido can stand after that, and then Kaido just speed blitzes him, and he just devastates him in a single go. But in the anime version, it's actually a King Kong gun versus Thunder Bagua. Kaido muscles through the King Kong gun, and then he devastates Luffy. So it does come down to you if you like the trade-off, where we don't necessarily get that speed, but we do get a lot of impact with other things that are happening at that point in time to make up for the lack of speed displayed in the manga versions. And I would say, for me, the Griffin, just watch my Patreon reaction, bro. The levels of hype were well beyond 9,000. So what we see afterwards is just, this was, oh man, Too Young Say, this shot of Shanks just devastating Kid, cutting through the damn punk, the mask behind Kid's ship, getting cut too, but still staying there. The oodles of hockey that we see where Kid's crew gets knocked out, and even Killer's scythes break before the explosion. The sheer force of Shanks' hockey from a distance broke Killer's scythes. What? His Punisher blades shattered them. That's what I mean when I say, like, the hockey that Shanks just exuded was on a whole new level. It was ridiculous, bro. It was insanity with the hockey. And that sword angle shot of the follow through,
Good Lord, man,
was incredible. That shot, too young to say, goated. Goated. That is gotta be in a mural somewhere. Biblically, man, that is, oh my God. So again, this episode as a whole, it's up there in terms of animation, in terms of pace, in terms of storyboard, in terms of art design, in terms of direction. It's up there with the best of the best. But here is where I think it separates from the rest of the pack. And this is why it's like a 10 out of 10. It's the actual in-episode substance. Kid's crew willingly give up the poneglyphs in order to save Kid's life. I think the Straw Hat Pirates are so honed in and locked in that given a similar situation, they would not do the same thing. Remember before the time skip, when Zoro and Mihawk had a conversation about Zoro finding something greater than even his own dream, and that's Luffy's dream. Becoming Pirate King is quintessential for the vast majority of these top tier pirates. And Kid's crew, who are a top tier pirate crew in the verse, they gave up Kid's dream. Here are the poneglyph rubbings. What this does effectively is that it eliminates Kid's crew from the race of being Pirate King. That is the magnitude of that. People may not understand. I think though in the anime, it's unclear if Shanks took the poneglyph rubbings or not. Even in the manga, it's kind of unclear too, where we don't actually see Shanks grab them and then leave. He just jumps away. But let's say you would assume that the rubbings are destroyed because of Dory and Brogy. Keep in mind that Dory and Brogy, when they do what they did, again, that scene done by Victor Chansard, what do? They reference chapter 1. The same mindset that Shanks teaches Luffy about what it means to be a real pirate is what we see Dory and Brogy emulate, and it's why Lucky Roo shot the one mountain bandit when he pointed a gun at Shanks. Why is that extremely important? Because in terms of the themes of the story, there are the correct pirates, and then there are the incorrect pirates. And the correct pirates are those that follow under the schema of Shanks, Goldie Roger, and Monkey D. Luffy. And the incorrect ones, you can argue, are people like Eustace Captain Kidd. Think about what Shaki told Luffy back in Shibuya Archipelago in the pre-time skip when Luffy was revealed to have a second highest bounty among the supernova. Kidd had a higher bounty in part because of his actions against innocent people. He's murdered and he's pillaged. He's done very foul things as a pirate. That is arguably the incorrect way of being a pirate. Incorrect insofar as you will not be able to actually become Pirate King if you are this kind of pirate. You can argue part of the reason why someone like Whitebeard told Blackbeard, you are not the man Roger's waiting for. You're not him.
You're not him.
And in terms of the themes, Shanks beating Kidd is another key sign of that. Shanks beating Kidd is a sign that Kidd is an incorrect version of a pirate, and he will not be able to achieve the dream of being the king of the pirates, thoroughly destroying him in a single move. Him and Killer, who was freeze fries on the side, baby. Free fries, yeah. So in terms of pirate thieves as a whole, it's quintessential, I'd argue, but also in terms of rivals. Now we're shifting way for Luffy's real rivals for the One Piece. Blackbeard, Buggy, and Shanks, and the older rivals of the past saga, Kid and Law get thrown to the wayside. So I can go on, but Jafar has to do this video within a set time frame here, all right? So this is why the episode is a 10 out of 10. It does a lot more in terms of the actual substance of the matter. This does a lot more for the story than what folks would realize. Any pirate that is unworthy of being in this race, it's beautiful. It is, I think, truly a beautiful thing. The themes are there. The substance is just too high to ignore, and it's on top of, once again, the animation, the pace, the direction, all these things that easily vie for the top 10, top 5. Hence why this episode is a 10 out of 10. Like the chapter was, a 10 out of 10. But let me know your stance on this episode of One Piece. I thought it was phenomenal. And if you want to see the entire reaction I have on that, purely it's on Patreon, unedited, all that good stuff, and tweaked up on my Cole Plus YouTube channel for free. So on that note, I'm gonna see you guys on the flip side. Everyone stay safe, peace out, have a nice one.
See you. Bye bye.